where shoppers will soon have to say goodbye to another longtime favorite store. Macy's announced more than a dozen locations will be closing, including the store at the Boulevard Mall in Amherst. This comes as the Boulevard Mall is expected to undergo a massive redevelopment. Macy's is only one of two remaining retail shops at the mall. 7 News senior reporter Eileen Buckley covers the North Towns and tonight is sharing the voices of some disappointed shoppers.
In just the past year alone, over 3,200 retail locations have disappeared, including stores from major names like Walmart, Walgreens, and Best Buy. And according to current projections, that figure could easily double before we even reach the middle of 2026. If you're living in states like Florida, Texas, or California, this is something you'll want to pay close attention to. The next round of store closures may hit much closer to home than you expect.
New furniture and discovering the store you ordered from is closed and your order canceled. And worse, getting your money back could be a giant headache.
It hasn't been a happy new year for some furniture buyers.
We started to kind of wonder where the furniture was.
Jen and Rick Hausner are among several shoppers who reached out after ordering living room or bedroom sets from American Signature and its subsidiary, Value City Furniture. The company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in November. The Hausners learned their orders were canceled. Even worse, they say the store they ordered from would not provide.
So here we are, and on today's video specifically, we're going to talk about all the stores closings that are already happening and that will continue to happen on this 2026. I really feel like there needs to be somebody to talk about this very important topic, because it really means that many Americans will continue to lose their jobs. So basically this 2026, there's a lot of U.S. companies that have announced that they will be filing for bankruptcy or they'll be closing this 2026. So basically, I have a list of companies that will go out of business this 2026. So the ongoing store closures and footprint reductions, they all start with individual stores that will be for sure shutting down entirely. And the number one in our list is definitely Walgreens. Okay. So as you guys know, or many know, Walgreens have closed many stores around the country in the last 2025. And on this 2026, they will continue to close those stores. Specifically, we're going to talk about it later, specifically which stores they're going to be closing this year. So that's the number one company. And so as the second spot, we will find GameStop. We already know that a lot of those stores have already been closed, but in 2026, for sure, several chains have reported these closures, or they will continue to close. And then we also have shutdowns or industry trends, not fully shutdowns, but major closures. And for like the first one of them, we have distribution centers or manufacturing plants, and some of them are closing permanently with layoffs. And then we also have retail chains, that are closing hundreds of restaurants or stores location, which while not complete company shutdowns after the U.S. footprint drastically. And then we also have several companies there appear in watch lists or speculations because of financial stress, but they haven't been officially announced a permanent shutdown or closures for this 2026. And the very first company that is suspected to close is TGI Fridays, guys. I mean, this is not a secret no more. You can find tons of videos on YouTube, TikTok, and everywhere where you'll find that TGI Fridays and other restaurant chains are indeed in trouble right now because they really are having trouble with like restructuring and just basically operating because nobody wants to eat out no more because it's just super freaking expensive, you know? And then on the second thing is, so we're just going to break down now the list of retail chains. We're going to start with retail chains that are definitely closing. So number one, we have Macy's. So Macy's this year, this 2026, is closing 14 stores, okay? So Macy's is in the process of closing 14 specific stores in early 2026. Remember, we are in January today. Like by the time that I'm recording this video, it's January 16. So Macy's is in the process of closing 14 specific stores in the early 2026 as part of its long-term strategy. That's what they always say, you know. And the affected locations include, of course, California. So specifically, the 2 locations in California that will be closing. And number 1, we have La Mesa on Grossmont Center. Whoever's watching me from there, hello, your Macy's store will be closing. And then on the second spot in California, we have Tracy. We have the West Valley Mall. Not a secret too. You guys know you can see hundreds of videos in YouTube or TikTok or everywhere, but you will find that these malls are closing they're basically closed for, they look like ghost towns. Okay. And then we have the second state with major Macy's store closures. We have specifically Georgia, state of Georgia, Atlanta in North Lake Mall. Okay, that location will be closing. And then we have Maryland, Glen Burnie, the Marley Station. Then we have Michigan, where we have Granville Rivertown Crossings. Hello to all my Michigan people that they've been suffering, with the storm from some days ago. Then we have Minnesota. We have the location called Crossroads Center. And then we have New Hampshire. The location is called Fox Run Mall. The upcoming closures, we have New Jersey. We have a Livingston Mall location. We have New York Boulevard Mall closing. North Carolina, we have Triangle Town Center. Pennsylvania, Galleria at Pittsburgh. We all know how bad the situation is at Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania right now. Lots of homelessness, and I'm going to talk about it in some other video, so I'm not surprised. And then we also have Texas. We have the Corpus Christi location, La Palmera, where Selena was born. And then we also have Washington. We have the Sound Center area. So these are among a larger set, gradually phase out through 2026. So that's the very first store or list of stores closings for Macy's. The second company that announced closures this year is GameStop. Okay. So they're closing. You need to hear it. You need to listen right now. You need to be prepared. So they're closing 400 stores. Okay. GameStop is closing 400 stores this year and across 42 states. Okay. So a lot of people will be affected with these closures in 42 states under a major restructuring plan. So specific store addresses, they vary widely by state. The other retail company that announced closures for this 2026, we have Family Dollar. Like if it wouldn't have been enough for the 96-cent stores to close, now you need to add Family Dollar. So sooner or later, guys, we won't have no cheap stores to buy from. And the location that they're actually closing is the New York store in Olean, New York. This specific location is scheduled to close completely by the end of February 2026 as part of broader ongoing closures. So, I mean, February, that's just like right here, right now, like it's just next month happening. And then we also have the Raley's Groceries announcing closures in Roseville, California, another California location in the Sacramento area. So Raley's Supermarket at the 1915 Douglas Boulevard. So for all the people there, hello. They're closing on January 27 of this year after, you need to listen very careful, 34 years of operation. So we're talking about companies that are announcing closures that have been, in business for such a very long time. And then we continue with other companies that are also closing this year. We have food and beverage restaurants. So the specific closures that have been announced for this 2026, when it comes to restaurants, we have Joe's Crab Shack at Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Okay. It's closing on January 24, 26, converting to a Bova Gump Shrimp CO location. And then we also have our Paris Steakhouse and Grill and located at Houston, Texas, specifically in River Oaks, Houston. This Paris location will close by January 24 of this year due to lease issues. But that's what they usually say it's the reason for closure. But in reality, we really don't know. It could be caused by a lot of factors. But let's pretend that's true. And then we also have another restaurant company named Il Fornaio and located at Palo Alto in Beverly Hills, California. We have the Palo Alto location at El Prado Hotel closing in early 2026 after 36 years in business, guys. Another company that is shutting down forever after so many years of operations. Just think about all the employees that have been working there forever. Okay. And then the other closure is in the other location that they're closing is in Beverly Hills, California, around the same time frame is where they're closing. And then we also have another restaurant company called Alice Oyster Bar, which is located in Atlanta, Georgia. Specifically Virginia Highland, Atlanta. This well-known seafood Italian spot officially closing in early 2026. So we are already noticing a pattern here. Most of these companies are closing within the very, first months or first quarter of this year. And then we also have, the brands that are not officially shutting down, forever, but, they have announced some closures. So in number one, we have Starbucks. Okay. We have all watching through the news that Starbucks have announced and strategic closures of hundreds of stores continuing into 2026. We also have another restaurant chain that I particularly have very good memories about it. Back when I was little, I celebrated some of my birthdays at Wendy's. Okay. They actually have one of my favorite, burgers, and I love their potatoes, the baked potatoes. Oh my gosh, they're so good. Salads, they're actually really good. It's one of those few food chains that I really like because I feel like they still have some sort of naturality, to their ingredients. I can still feel some of the food that they sell is actually real, But again, going back to the topic, so Wendy's has announced to close hundreds of stores or restaurants moving into 2026 from late 2025. And then we have another retail chain. It's the Value City Furniture. Has announced full liquidation. All stores expected closing at the end of 2026. And then we have another giant, retail giant. We have Kroger. So Kroger has, the same, they own a lot of grocery stores. We have Ralph's here in California. We got Ralph's. And then we also have Food for Less among so many other chains like all around the US. So they're planning to shutter up to 60 stores over 2025 and 2026 as part of restructuring. State and city lists vary by company fillings. Another chains reported with rather reductions. We have, oh my gosh, all-time favorite. We have Red Lobster. Okay, they are continuing to close stores all around the country. And then we also have other favorites for a lot of people. We have Pizza Hut. We have Papa John's. We have Jack in the Box. We have On the Border. We have Salad and Go. Many locations close in 2025 with ongoing reductions in 2026, guys. And this is just, the year is just beginning and we already have a lot of closures. Okay. So we're going to talk right now about trends. So the reason why many of this retail chains are closing is due to, that's what they say. Number one, they say it's because they're doing some sort of restructuring and due to poor foot traffic. So that means that people are not physically going to these locations. I completely understand that. Everybody wants to do everything online now, so it's completely understandable. The second reason is because there's shifts to e-commerce. The number 3 reason is because they claim there's strategic reallocations of real estate. Just imagine, guys, how much do they charge these companies in renting real estate locations? And then we also have other ones that are claiming that it's due to bankruptcy or acquisition impacts. Again, this is it will be a consequence of poor traffic, people are just simply not going to this restaurant chains. And then, all right, so then we have, those are basically the companies and locations that so far are closing. And as a matter of, how can I say, of a conclusion, I can tell you guys that I really feel, I have a, slight feeling in my heart that these closures will continue to happen in all 2026, and this is just a very beginning. You guys should get ready because I feel like a lot of companies in and out of retail will be out of business. And we even have some other companies and other industries that are not happy with how things are going right now because the economy is shit right now. We have, probably I might need to do a whole another video about it, but probably you guys have heard of those nurses that went on a strike in New York because they claim that their job conditions are not the same, that they're not good, that they're not being paid well, and I don't blame them. They got to do what they got to do. So we will continue to see more of this corporations. So this is basically corporations against regular people. And this situation is just, of course, very sad, but I highly encourage you guys. I always tell everybody, never put all of your eggs in only one single basket. Diversify your income, and that's the only way in which you're going to get afloat to all this change in economic trends. And another thing that you guys need to reevaluate is that I'm not saying that, because I don't want to be super political when it comes to my videos, but I want to say that just remember, that because the government is doing a lot of investigations around companies and everything, you can expect more closures because a lot of them depended on those government funds or any other sort of relation, with all of this. like say like if you're working as, let's say like for the government, like at schools or like an RBT technician, you can spend that, you will have less work, but just remember that the government is investigating all of these companies, the frauds in like Minnesota and everything. So, this is a whole like chain of things that one thing leads to the other. But, I would just keep everybody in my prayers for this 2026. Let's just all stay positive as much as we can. And thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. I really hope you subscribe and hit the like button. And we will continue to see in other videos what's going on in this crazy world. So thank you for watching and have a very beautiful day.